So, assalamu alaikum to everybody. My name is Alexandra, and I am one of the team members with Ruh at Medina. And so, I am really happy to be here with you guys today. This is my first time hosting a live, so please bear with me. Um, and um, and we are here tonight. We're going to be joined by our wonderful relationship coach, Yasmin Al Hadi. And I'm sure you guys already saw the ad that we posted up. The title for tonight's session is Love is in the Air. How to stay optimistic yet realistic when you are searching for a spouse, when you are searching for love, as they often say. Okay? So with that, I'm going to try to add our guest in. And thank you to everybody who's watching right now. It's really, really nice to see all of you.
Salam.
Nice to meet you, Yasmin.
It's so nice to meet you.
I'm Alex.
Hey, Alex.
And I'm so excited to be with you here tonight. I love all of your programs and everything like that, by the way, so I'm a big fan.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And I'm really excited for whatever advice and insight you can offer us tonight. Okay?
Yeah.
So as the title of the ad, it was very self-explanatory, and all of our viewers are probably used to watching you from other sessions that we've had. So let's just dive right into it, okay? We're not celebrating Valentine's Day here. However, we cannot deny the fact that our society, the things that we see, the things that we go through in our day-to-day life, it affects us. And sometimes at this time of year, it can be particularly hard for people who are maybe who are frustrated, looking for a spouse, men and women.
Yeah.
And people who get questioned all the time, like, hey, are you getting married? Getting married? Why aren't you married yet? It can be really, really tough. So what kind of advice can you maybe offer to people who are in this kind of situation to help them stay optimistic and patient, and how to keep going without, succumbing to that feelings of loneliness, perhaps?
Yeah. Oh, great question. Big question.
Big question.
First I start in the name of my Lord, and I send praise and blessings upon Prophet Muhammad and his beautiful family and companions. And I wish you all so much love in your life. So much love, such that you realize that you have all the love already that you're searching for inside of you. And what I mean by that is that God has created you completely full and completely worthy and completely and totally equipped with everything that you actually need. When we hear that marriage, for example, in our religion is half of our deen, just understand that, again, the explanation that was given to me by Imam Sayyid Shakir has been the best so far, which is, the meaning of that is that it tests the amount of deen that you've really inculcated in your life. So it tests, why it's half is that it encompasses basically the other half. You were in theory, and then you're in practice when you're in relationship with someone. Again, why the Prophet Muhammad said, ad-din al-mu'amala, that true deen is actually in relationships. It's in your dealings. Now, people have interpreted this not just to mean business dealings, but also in the dealings that we have with one another and how we make other people feel. The Prophet, the Prophet Muhammad in particular, he really made everybody feel like it was a better interaction after he left them. So I think that if we can endeavor to make everybody around us feel like they've been bettered in some way, that actually is going to be the thing that fills our cup the most. When you live your life to the absolute fullest, by being a source of light for the people around you, by lightening and removing their burdens, and also being a person who cares enough about yourself that you take care of yourself, that you make sure that you are taking the time to contemplate, taking the time to step away and to think about your life in a serious pursuit of self-knowledge, in a serious pursuit of what God wants for you, what your mission in this life is. I believe that all good things come to you when you're in that state. If you are in a state of searching for something that's missing, you will forever have a hunger and a thirst. Have you ever seen people who are so wealthy and yet they want more? They have
Yeah.
hundreds of millions of dollars, and yet they're still looking for the next thing and the next way to get the most money and to squeeze as much as possible out of the people around them, including to exploit them or to run away from even paying their taxes, to running away from their obligations. Is that happiness, or are they just hungry? So just understand that your plate is actually full. Like Rumi talks about this in his poetry, right? Like you're searching for all the love, but the love is inside of you. It's all there. There's all this love. It's pooled in your heart. And yet you're searching for it from everywhere else, instead of seeing it coming from this abundant source. And I think the love that we inculcate in our lives, I think that is in direct proportion to how much happiness we truly have, and then what we attract into our lives, what we draw into our lives. So if you're hungry and you feel like you're never satiated, it doesn't matter how much you have on your plate, because you're still going to stay hungry. But if you feel full because you recognize how much God has already given you, then God will only increase you. Not my promise, is God's promise in the Quran. And if you truly are thankful, I will only increase you. And if you truly complain about all the things that are missing, you're going to have so many missing pieces and feeling lost and feeling confused and feeling like you're running in some kind of race that you've already won. You have to remember that. I think the more that we get into that space, the more that we realize, okay, if I have a truly positive outlook of my Lord and a truly positive outlook in life, it actually means that everything is in perfect timing. Perfect timing. That nothing misses me that doesn't belong to me. And that God is the best doler out of all resources. God is the best and truly the most loving and careful and sincere of those who will take care of our hearts. He is in the best care of you. So if you are searching and longing for something and God has not given it to you, there is a serious blessing in him withholding that thing from you. And you can't see it right now because you're in your own pain. If you can look past your pain for a second. And I actually think that pain and sadness and feeling lost, those things can teach us something if we're willing to sit with it. And I don't think that, for example, like some people say, I sat with Sheikh Muhammad Nanawi, and I asked him, I said, what if you have prolonged sorrow? What if you're sad for a really long time? Does that mean that your iman is weak? Is that a weakness in your faith? He said, no, Yasmin. He said, some sorrow, it comes from a sincere place. You could be truly sad for a reason, and it's not that God is forgetting about you. It's not that you are something that is discarded or that your sorrow should be dismissed. Instead, sit with that sorrow. Sit with it for a little bit. And I told him, I said, it feels like a companion. It feels like a companion that is always with me. He said, yes, you can feel happiness and sorrow in the same moment. Two feelings can exist at one time. The question is, what do you do with that sorrow? Is it destructive? That's when it really speaks to your iman. Is your sorrow of something that is going to destroy you, or is it something that will actually be a source of elevation, both for you and the people around you? Do you assist other people in that sorrow? Do you find what may be the lesson for you in that sorrow? Do you search for the ways that your sorrow doesn't have to be so lonely, right? And how can you turn every single day that you're feeling those two feelings into total acceptance of yourself and having that duality? I think so many people don't understand the importance of knowing I can hold many different feelings at one time. I can hold many different feelings at one time, but then I get to choose what feelings actually create action. So we have to understand that ourselves, we are separate from our feelings that pass and go. The indestructible self is separate from that. And the part of you that makes a choice, makes whatever decision that you're going to make in your life, is separate from maybe the feeling that you're going to have today. So I think that's one of the best ways to stay positive, just to understand God is always choosing the best for you in the best of times. The feelings that you feel can be held all at one time, and it's okay. But if God is choosing the best for you because you've completely given your affairs you've completely surrendered, you've completely given it up, just know that nothing is going to miss you that doesn't belong to you. So you can't say, oh, if only, and if I would have. Yes, just like the Guest House by Rumi. Yes, there's so much in Rumi's poetry, that is just, it's so beautiful. He's universally speaking to our longing, and it's because your soul is longing for forever, as Yasmin Mogahed so beautifully puts it. If you feel like this earth is heavy sometimes, and you feel that sorrow, it's because your soul wants more. It wants forever, and it's stuck. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ said that sometimes this earth can feel like a prison for the person who is in true belief. And then finally, Sheikh Nawawi said something to me that really, I think, stuck with me. He said, look, like, who said suffering isn't a part of the human experience? And like loss isn't a part of the human experience. And joy is a part of the human experience. If we can just take a step back and understand, like, again, that this is a temporary thing that passes and it's a part of this realm, then maybe we can understand that we will never, ever be denied something that we actually need. I was just talking to a group of people on a podcast. I know I like try to talk about many different things, and just pop music. There's a really beautiful song called Beautiful Day by U2. And he has a chorus in that song. Bono has a chorus in that song. He says, what you don't have, you don't need it now. What you don't know, you can feel it somehow. What you don't have, you don't need it now. You don't need it now. It's a beautiful day. So like, look at these people, even in pop culture, taking these very important spiritual lessons, right? And yes, right. And we choose our suffering. We just have to be aware. Yes, and we choose our suffering too. We do, and we choose the things that are going to antagonize ourselves and our heart. But we also choose our actions. That's the key. Just understand that whatever feelings you feel, however heavy they may feel, you have to know that you're in control of your actions. And so, if I want to give you practical advice, I just give you like a spiritual basis to what we're talking about, right?
Yes, yeah. Beautiful. A lot of this is pretty, a lot of what you've kind of covered is quite spiritual.
Yes.
It's a bit abstract.
Yes.
It's a bit theoretical.
Yes.
I understand, there's a practicality to it as well. So what would you say to the sister who maybe just got out of a really sour ending to a courtship?
Yes. Yes.
And she is just like, oh my Lord, yes.
I did everything.
There is no way I'm getting married any soon. I might as well just give it up. And I'm just gonna apply to that PhD program because marriage is not happening anytime soon for me.
And it's okay to apply to the PhD programs if marriage is happening tomorrow, right? It's okay to apply to that PhD program if you want to be the mom or if you want to be the wife. Just understand that your life is not dictated by what God brings in it and what God removes from it. It's dictated by the choices that you make to improve your life and to improve the lives of those around you. So I think that in terms of practicality, if you're somebody who just came out of a terrible relationship, first, be in thanks, be in gratitude that relationship fell apart before you were connected to that person at a deeper level. Give thanks, not involved in the situation. And if there were children in the situation, give thanks. Give thanks that there are children that you are now navigating this new space with, and they're going to have a different set of compassion. They're going to have a different set of eyes for every single person that they come in contact with. Understand that every soul is brought onto this earth for a reason. So if you got out of that relationship and you have children, don't feel that God has abandoned you. Instead, see it as this is something that's going to really expand this child if we try to do it right. So I think that if you're searching for the right person and you've exhausted all your efforts, I say beautiful. You've exhausted your efforts. You've done what you can. So those include some practical steps. They include telling the people around you that you're searching for someone, getting on the apps, just checking those out, seeing how that world is. I'm not saying you have to stay on the apps, just give it a go. Making sure that you're going to different community events, making sure that you're attending different events in your community that interests you, things that are centered on your self-improvement or the improvement of others, whether that be in volunteering, whether that be in arts, whether that be in learning different skills. It could be learning a different language, or learning a mountain biking, or climbing, or I know people that met at like art class. I know people that met at cooking classes. So it could be in the most random places where you're just improving yourself and you're creating a new skill set. The most important thing I would say is that if you're doing your part like that, those are the actions, the doing. And then there's the being. The being is, I'm waking up in the middle and I'm asking God for what I want, in a time where it's quiet, in a time where I know that this is the quietest time, this is the closest time, right? Yeah, and I don't think you should stay on the apps. For some people, the apps really work for some people, and they don't work for others. I'm not saying that you should stay on them, but take a peek. Don't knock anything until you try it. That's what I'm talking about in terms of tying your camel. That's our prescription. Our prescription is to give it our all, and then God takes care of everything else. Your sincerity has to come in the intention, not in the outcome. The outcome belongs to God. It doesn't belong to you, right? And know that God always has your back. So if you had a terrible relationship and you hopefully learn something about yourself, about like what you can tolerate, what you can't, what you maybe should be looking for in the next relationship, give thanks, walk away from that, and try to be in gratitude and say, God, my heart hurts. My heart hurts from this experience. Only you can heal me. And just surrender. Remember who we are. We are spiritual beings having this human experience. And so all we're trying to do is navigate this human realm. And that we can't do it alone. That means you cannot do it alone. But it also means that you need to be also in a community of people who are also like-minded, and I would say similarly valued. So try to be as part of many different communities. And when you are a part of many different communities, interfacing with many different communities, that's when you start realizing, oh, I know somebody that maybe met somebody that knows someone. I'm telling you, when it's meant for you, it will come to find you. I promise you, like Cupid's arrow, like the arrow just coming for you. And if it's not meant for you, no matter how many times you bang your head up against that wall, like going on the app or whatever, it's not going to be for you. It's not going to be for you, because the timing and the outcome doesn't belong to you. It doesn't belong to you. All that belongs to you is your effort, the effort that you put in. And I know there's a lot of people here that are going to be single and maybe suffering in that. And someone so expertly said, you're choosing what is making you suffer. You're making a choice about the action. You're making a choice about how you react to certain feelings. I'm not saying don't feel your feelings. You should feel your feelings, but then realize, what action will I take from that feeling? Is it a destructive action, or is it one that will feed my soul? And let me tell you, the things that feed your soul are the things that make the people around you feel, wow, that person just walked in, I got more oxygen. That person just walked in, I feel seen. That person just walked in, I feel better by being around them. They made me feel healed. That's prophetic. That is truly prophetic. And that's the kind of, action. We don't necessarily talk about the Prophet ﷺ's like life. Like he's 25. He's a little bit older in that at that time, and never being married, right? Never being married, never having someone, wanting to accept him fully. And then subhanAllah, because he acts in a way that is upright, and he's trustworthy, and he cares about his neighbors, and he cares about his community, and he is meeting his obligations and fulfilling his oaths, the good thing came to him. Then Khadija anha saw him, and God put her in his path. A person that maybe would not have seen him if he was holed up, being sad about whatever, feeling down on himself, being destructive. Instead, he is constructive and living his life, baby, living his best life. You have to live your best life. When you are the best version of yourself, all you do is magnetize the best into your life. And I want you to get in that mindset, right? This is the growth mindset. This is manifestation. We're going to call it by so many different things. There's all this new age spirituality that talks about this. Is called, some girl, she got into my DM. She's like, how do I manifest a husband? I'm like, boo. I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? She's like, how do I manifest a husband? I'm like, are you waking up for tahajjud? Are you reading Surah Al-Waqi'ah every single day to ask for the rizq? Are you making istighfar? Are you saying Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakeel so that God can solve your problems? Have you totally given up your affairs? Have you tried? I know, the apps. Have you talked to your friends? Have you talked to the people around you? Are you in the best version of yourself? Do you look and feel your best about yourself? That's how you manifest. Because you know that if you're doing your part, then everything else is up to God. And what a relief that is. What peace that is. What a peace that you can come into from knowing that. From knowing that at a very deep level. And say you got into a relationship, say you're married, you got into a relationship, you got kids, and it ended sourly. That doesn't mean that somehow you did something wrong and that you didn't manifest the right outcome. No, that means that you did the best that you could, and it didn't work out. And now you're supposed to learn something, and those kids are supposed to expand from that situation, and you get to choose constructive actions. You get to choose the best way to protect yourself and to protect the people around you. But if you get sad, if you get so sad that you can't feel any other emotion, understand that it's okay to have grief and sadness that you carry with you. It's okay. But you have to have other emotions also present that push towards constructive activity. Okay? Constructive choices that you make in your life. It's okay to hold those. It's okay to be sad for a really long time. It doesn't mean that your iman is weak. It means that you are a dynamic, beautiful, full human being who experiences all the ranges of emotions, but hopefully makes as good of choices as possible for you and your family. Do you understand? And it also means that those children that came into this life, they were meant to be there. Look how beautiful the peace that you get to know. This was meant to be. God says, so be it, and it shall be. Kun fayakun. That's the power and the releases you. What releases you of that anxiety has to be. This was meant to be. I was meant to be in that freaking terrible relationship. God was present the whole time. And what is the expansion? What else am I supposed to also feel with this sadness and this grief and this loss? Wow, now I'm a part of this full human experience, the panoply of the different emotions. Remember the suffering. Again, you get to choose your suffering and to choose your activity. If you look at the prophetic examples, you will see a lot of suffering, not because God doesn't love them, not because they did something wrong, not because you're being punished. Get out of that mentality. Come out of that mentality. This is not a punishment. The sadness and the grief and the sorrow and the test of your faith is not your punishment. It's not. This is your, hopefully, tarqiyah. It's your elevation. It's your elevation. And it's your ticket to the human realm, baby. This is the human realm. Okay? Anyone who tells you otherwise, that evil comes from the devil and good comes from God, nah, it's all coming from God. Chill out. Sadness can be your companion too, and it can teach you something through it. So stop fighting it. Stop fighting it and saying, oh, this is my punishment. Everything is terrible. The more you complain, the more complaints you will see. And the more ingratitude you are and say, well, I have this and I have this and I have this. And I have sadness too, but I have all of these other things too. And I'm going to choose that today is going to be a better day for me. I was sad yesterday and it overcame me. Tomorrow, I'm going to have the sadness and hopefully it'll be a little bit less. And I'm going to choose to do something, yes, that brings in the light, right? Rumi says, the wound is where the light enters. The wound is where the light enters. So if you're getting a wound, baby, you're getting lit up. You're getting lit up. That's your light. That's the entry point. Think about how boring it would be if everything was great. I mean, it's beautiful, but this life is not about that. This human realm is not about that, right? It's about understanding from some pain, yes, and some sorrow. You know, again, I'm going to just mention one more song because, you know, it's interdisciplinary, and Muslims have been interdisciplinary our whole life. And if there's music that is teaching you and it is giving you a positive message, then use it hopefully to strengthen your trust in your Lord. Okay, a song that talks about, you know, your tears, right? That every single time I cry, I get a little bit stronger. I get a little bit stronger, right? And it used to be, you know, when the voices get loud, I'm gonna bring them down. This is Ava Max's song. It's so beautiful. It's called Every Time I Cry, right? And she says, you know, when the voices get loud, I'm bringing them down, and I feel good in my body. I feel good in my body forever and ever. And when the tears start to fall, I'm gonna catch them all. I'm gonna catch all my tears because they make me stronger. They make me more powerful, and they make me more human. So I just want us to understand that it's not a punishment. So stop punishing yourself. Stop it. And instead, try to live your best life, boo. Because when you have happiness, everybody's like, "What? Where'd you get that? That is, wow. What is that about?" They want to start coming closer to you when you have joy, and they want some of your joy. And then you have to remind them, "Oh, like, actually, God help me through this. I feel good. Today's a good day. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day." I constructed this happiness. I constructed this joy by having trust. I am fully in trust and total alignment with the universe. And when you have that total alignment with God, then you know. Then you get that beautiful deep gnosis, is what we call that deep gnosis, right? Yeah, drop the shame, blame. No shame, no guilt, no blame. Get that out of the way. Instead, just bring in and know that you have to be in alignment, right? You have to be in alignment, and you do have to protect that love and the positive energy. You do. And it also means that the people around you aren't the people who are just going to be stealing it. So if someone comes to you and says, "Where'd you get that? Where'd you get that? Where'd you get that happiness?" They're like, "Oh, actually, my Lord helped me construct this." And you can have some too if you make choices in your life that elevate you. If you make constructive choices in your life that elevate you. But yeah, you shouldn't be around people that are draining you. No, that's not the way that you protect that. But I just want you guys to just understand.
A lot of us have, unfortunately, we live in sometimes in a family environment.
Yes,
where it seems like we are surrounded by those toxic messages.
absolutely. But think of Sayyidina Noah. Think of Noah, whose son, how many hundreds of years we believe that Noah lived, and his son who took every bit of love from him and still rejected his father's message. Like, talk about toxic, talk about betrayal, talk about being hurt. And yet he had to keep going. And that's a part, like, we sometimes have family members that are not exactly healthy. They're not healthy for us. Now, does it mean that we abandon them? No, we try. And we love them. But at the same time, if push comes to shove, we have to create a boundary. We have to create a boundary around our heart and say, this is no longer a state of positivity, but also of, you know, of purity and of allowance. This is a state of prohibition. This is now a conversation that is a painful one. These are painful words that are being exchanged. So I have to protect myself as much as possible. And I have a whole Merry Mondays about this, and it's called When Family Hurts. And I talk about how you have to create, at first, you need to create some boundaries in your heart. So spiritual and emotional boundaries away from messages that hurt us or from people that hurt us, by having to, again, you have to, you know, withdraw. You have to retreat, give them the respect, and then retreat. That's a part of mercy for them and for you, to reduce the overall harm, to reduce conflict. And you have to retreat, and you have to figure out this cave that the Prophet, like, he went into that cave to create that space. Hey, some of these messages are harmful. I need to have some time to figure out what's harmful and what isn't. I need to think through that. I need to be introspective. And through that, I understand better myself. And through that, I understand better what my boundaries are that I'm going to hold, right? And then through that, you can say, okay, now I need to create some physical boundary between me and maybe that harmful family member. I need to get independent on my feet. I need to have some independence in my money. I need to have some independence in my thought. I need to have some independence in my space, in my living arrangements. And the hope is that you can grow in that when you have a sincerity of your intention, when you have a sincerity of your intention. The key, I think, that also in maintaining a positive outlook, again, is instead of saying, I've been stricken by this family member, how could this have happened to me? Take a step back and understand, well, this was willed by God. This was willed by God. God is here also. In this sadness and in these tears and in this difficulty, God is also here with me. And I have to make good choices for myself. I get to also have sadness and maybe feelings of resentment and loss, but also joy and forward activity.
Yeah.
So someone asked here about colonialism affected the message of Islam. I love my deen, but really had to think a lot when I was thought in toxic paradigms. Yeah, there's lots of things that neocolonialism were included in our religion. Things that don't exist for us, like making marriage difficult or sex taboo, for example. Even these little things, it's like that was never the case in Islam at all. And there was ease in the entry into the marriage market always for us. We didn't have these sort of like Victorian ideas about sex or marriage, or there are so many things that colonialism seeped in. But also the biggest thing is that we lost connection to our language. We lost connection to the independence of our institutions that taught us our tradition, that taught us the Quran, that taught us the commentary, that taught us the understanding, the openness in our thought, our interdisciplinarism. Or Muslims have always been interdisciplinary. Always. We've thought about things and we're good at many different things. We are the original Renaissance. We are the original Renaissance thinkers. So we have multi-layered thinking. And we see everything as a way to glorify God. And we see things in not restrictive terms, but permissive terms, always. So I want us to also think about that too. If we can just be a little bit more open-minded. And I always think about that a lot, actually, how I feel like we're so restricted. And I think you would get that from colonialism because it makes us not confident. Yes, we did. We lost our connection with our greatness and we lost the connection with our confidence. The key is confidence. If you are able to construct your confidence by following through on your oaths, making sure through your words that they follow with actions. Yes, through creativity, through creation, especially things that make you feel closer, especially things that make you feel stronger, right? We need to be doing those types of things. We need to be in those arenas to give us confidence, right? To give us confidence in who we are. We need to also understand that if we have a positive view of our Lord, then we will always be winning. When we give, when someone asks me, how do I manifest? I'm like, how much are you giving? Because how much you give is directly correlated to how much you manifest. 100%. How much are you in service? Because we know that if you give in God's way and you make sincere dua, make a sincere prayer as you're giving, there is no way that God will not return it to you. At least tenfold. But beyond what you can imagine, I can't even imagine today. So we have some practical tips about how to manifest and to stay positive in our manifestation of finding a spouse. So we'll go through them one more time here, and then I'll go to the next question because I don't want to talk too long. I could talk for too long sometimes. Okay.
Yeah, and I think we don't want to run too much over. I know that you have your obligations and everything like that. So if there's anybody out there, you guys have any more questions?
Yes.
Please throw them to our way real quick so that we can wrap it up really before too long.
So I'm going to go through them really quickly. So number one, have a positive mindset and one of abundance. Know that God is abundant in his blessing, and be happy when other people see good things, and make dua when you see the good things for other people. Instead of wanting what they have, say, God, you have, mashallah, you willed that. Mashallah, why we say that? Because we say God willed that. He can will the same thing for me. He is the abundant source of love and happiness, and he brings me the good in all things. Number two, speak to God and speak to God in a true way, in a true, sincere fashion when other people are sleeping. Keep your heart awake. Number three, give. Make sure that you're giving in charity. Give in charity and ask God for what you want exactly, knowing very, very, very sure, with certainty, that God will answer you. Number four, make sure that you're a part of many different community organizations. Make sure that you are telling people that you are searching for someone, that you're searching for someone to be your partner in your life, okay? So make sure that you try your best by telling the people around you, by being a part of different community organizations. Number 5, living your best life. Hi, Jennifer. Hi, baby. Living your best life. And what I mean by that, okay? What I mean by that is, are you looking and feeling your best? Are you eating healthy? Are you exercising? Are you into all the different interests that you wanted to be in? Are you actually plugged into the things that you've always wanted to do? Don't wait. Don't wait anymore. Do it right now. Do it right now, and you're going to meet other people who have those similar interests. Number 6, make sure that you are in gratitude, that you have a gratitude practice, because remember that when you increase yourself in gratitude, you are actually increasing in alignment from what the entire universe wants for you. Okay? You are increasing in your, literally all your positive vibes are now in alignment, and say, wow, I am in thanks. I am in thanks. Lord, I stand and I testify in total gratitude to the beauty that you put into my life. And I know you can give me more. I know you can give me more, because it's all yours to give. And this whole thing was created for you. This whole thing was created for you. Number 7, stop punishing yourself by thinking that sadness is a punishment. Live all of your feelings, every single one of them. Ride the wave, baby. Understand that you are, again, a spiritual being having a human experience. So you're going to have sadness and you're going to have joy. And sometimes you're going to have them in the exact same moment. It's not a punishment. That is your humanity. That is your gift. That is the walking legacy of God's love inside of you. You are God's love. You are God's love walking. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. And the bad things in your life are not from some evil thing. No, they are from the same goodness and the same good source. They are here. And you want to know, what am I going to do? Is it going to be destructive action, or is it going to be constructive action? Okay. And I think the biggest way to find solace in the bad things happening to you is to understand that so many have gone through bad things, baby. So many individuals that God loves have gone through bad things, babe. So many.
Mm-hmm.
So many. It's not because God is singling you out because he doesn't love you. Stop thinking that. And instead understand, wow, this is the full arc of my story. And I am a spiritual being having a human experience. And this is what it is. This is what it is. I love you, Halima. I love you so much, boo. I love you, Halima Jama from Canada. A girl that I love. Yes, you are God's love walking. Don't you ever forget that. You are God's legacy on this earth. That's what it means to be a wali. That's what it means to be a wali. Remember that, guys. Remember that. You are so flipping important. So just get out of your own way. Get out of your own way. If something is being withheld, that is a blessing to you. If something is being withheld from you, there is a blessing in it. That's how you stay positive in the sadness. Okay? That's how you stay positive in the sadness. And hopefully see it as an elevation. Ask God for his pleasure. Do the same thing that the Prophet ﷺ did. Look, the Prophet ﷺ, look what he did when they're hitting him with stones in Ta'if. His skin is bleeding. Our beloved Prophet, ﷺ, his skin is bleeding from kids throwing things in his face and his body. Children hitting him. He asked for God's pleasure. Are you happy with me, God? His eyes so on the prize. His eye is so on the prize. He's not even asking. He's not asking for anybody's punishment. He's not saying, how have you forsaken me? He's not saying you've abandoned me. He's not saying you brought me down. Just stay with that. Seek God's pleasure. You will always win. And I think that the best apps, in my opinion, are the ones that ask good questions. The ones that ask good questions, the ones that are based on trusted relationships, trusted connections. So I know this is not a Muslim one, but Hinge is a great one because it creates connections with people that you already know on Facebook. I like all of them. I kind of are, but like Muzmatch and Salam seem to be the ones that right now are working for a lot of people, but just seek God's pleasure. Remember the outcome, it belongs to God. Yes, Christianity and Islam are so close, my love. Christianity and Islam are so close, my love. Yes, we are one in the same, and you would be surprised how many of us are seeking the exact same thing. How many of us want the exact same thing and are seeking the exact same thing? I wish you all happiness. I wish you all fullness from a deep place and seeking the pleasure and the alignment of God. I wish for you the alignment with God's purpose for you. Okay? I seek for you the deep gnosis that comes from that alignment, the deep knowledge.
I mean,
I love you all.
Jazakumullah khair. Thank you so much. And sorry if we didn't get to everybody's comments and questions, but we do have to wrap this up. If you guys have any questions or suggestions for future programs that we can, anything that we can offer you from Ruh by Medina, please comment below. Send us a message. Let us know what you think. You can go to our website, ruh.medinainstitute.com. We have a brand new website. And thank you so much, Jazakumullah khairan, Sister Yasmin.
Absolutely.
We ask Allah for His acceptance for this program.
Yeah.
And may God bless all of you guys who are watching and with us tonight.
Yes.
Thank you so much
all
for tuning
all
in.
of the Christians and the Jews and the Hindus and everyone who's watching, every human that's watching right now, the message of mercy is for all of humanity. It's for all of humanity, and thank you for joining us.
That's right. That's right. And share this with your friends. Share this with anybody that you know, man or woman, who might benefit from this. Thank you so much. Jazakumullah khairan. Wassalamu alaikum.